tell me soon. Mr. Duffner from Ben & Jerry's. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you for having me. I could not imagine a better place, a more beautiful place to think about how we can make this world a better place. So honored to be here. We heard from Liz how complex the challenges ahead of us are. I'm an ice cream guy, and we tend to take a slightly different view on things with the naive lens of ice cream makers. And I hope I can share some of that. I want to share some of that with you over the next 15 minutes, and I hope it can inspire something along the line. Will ice cream and granola make the difference? Many of you probably can imagine ice cream can make a difference in a moment. It creates smiles on people's faces. It's actually hard to scream at each other with ice cream in your hand. Ice cream brings kind of the ability to have a positive view into the future. But will it make the difference? No, of course not. The only thing that can make a difference is you guys. It's people that are taking the challenges ahead of us and are actually deciding to be a little bit less lazy than you were in the past and just step up the game towards our future. When Patrick asked me to speak at a CSR conference, I said yes without thinking a second. On the train here from northern Germany to Cologne, I realized that I shouldn't have said yes that quick. So, because when I thought about what is the one message that I want to share with this audience, all I could come up with is stop CSR. I will spend the next 15 minutes with a plea to all of you that we have to stop doing CSR. And by we, I mean you. And why I believe so, I will tell in a minute. CSR, for me, is the perfect excuse to not do the challenges or to not do what we have to do. It's the perfect excuse to be lazy. It's a perfect excuse to not save the world. Where do we have to go to? At Ben & Jerry's, we use the phrase value, or we believe of ourselves of being a values-led business. We believe we have to move from CSR to businesses, to a society where values are driving our action, where values deeply embedded in the roots of the organization are driving our action. This is nothing new. In 2, 3, 4 generations ago, across Europe, people started writing constitutions, and business and economics were part of most of the constitutions. And I took out one particular example, which kind of was replicated in most constitutions in Europe. The Bavarian Constitution uses a phrase, basically their view at the role of business and economics being solely to serve the common good. And this is the basis that still exists, that we took on as a challenge to build our modern economy. And did we deliver against this? Hell no, we didn't. So how did we end up where we ended up? I don't know. Are there solutions to change this? I hope yes. And I think there are solutions, even with our existing shareholder economy. And what solutions could look like, I will try to explain to you on 2 examples, which both are making up my professional life. One is the view on 100% a fully owned subsidiary of Unilever, Ben & Jerry's. Unilever being a stock market company with all the limitations and challenges a stock market company has. And on the other side, it's a small food startup with all the flexibility and all the its own challenges. Those kind of, my work life is split across the 2. I do 50% work for Ben & Jerry's, 80% for the startup, and other stuff as well. So let's start with Ben & Jerry's. At Ben & Jerry's, our last CEO coined the phrase, we are a social justice company that happens to make ice cream. This is the foundation of everything we do. We use ice cream as the means to bring our values to life. And it's for sure easy to say, you have done your homework, Ben & Jerry's is part of Unilever, so you figured it out, this is a marketing strategy. Why is it not? I will explain to you the difference between Unilever in its structure and Ben & Jerry in its structure. Unilever, and last night, I don't know who of you saw the presentations last night, there was a big praise about Unilever and its role in CSR, and I agree to this. Paul Polman turned this company, which already was ahead of the game, into what I think is quite ahead of the game in terms of CSR. Paul Polman is really a great leader in terms of inspiring people in the organization to move towards a more sustainable way of doing business. He's doing that within the boundaries of a for-profit company that at the end has to always make the business case happen. On the other side, there's Ben & Jerry's. Ben & Jerry's was sold more than 15 years ago to Unilever, and when it was sold, they established an independent board of directors, which is has the final decision-making power on Ben & Jerry's. So Paul Polman could not take any decision that the board disapproves. The board of directors was implemented by Ben & Jerry when they left, and it's kind of renewing from within. And it is set up with social and environmental activists. There's Annie Leonard, the head of Greenpeace North America. We just got a German member in. The formerly head of Médecins Sans Frontières. So many NGO people bringing their ideas to change into a progressive future into this company, and using ice cream and the power of ice cream as kind of a mean and a tool to bring their messages to the world and embed the challenge or the change we want to see. This is then kind of written, or it's building on the original statement of mission, which has like a product, an economic, and a social mission. They all kind of sit next to each other, but the board of directors makes sure that the social mission does never kind of fall under the economic or the product mission. So the social mission always stays ahead of everything. The 3-part mission statement is the way we take decisions, is our kind of the foundation for taking decisions. Linked prosperity is how we call our business model. Linked prosperity very much says that we do everything we do, we want to do in a way that everyone prospers. The community we buy ingredients from, so throughout the value chain, we look at not only our immediate action, but the wider society around it, from the people we buy our ingredients up to the workforce in our factories, where we have embedded a livable wage. So we were paying 2.5% the time, the amount of the minimum wage in Vermont, for example, because we redefined our responsibility there, up to the moment where we, or the areas where we sell our products. And we sell a product that not everyone can afford, but we look at the society in a more holistic view and want to understand our role in society in a more holistic point of view. So this is the baseline for all the action we take. And over the course of the year, we campaigned for many things. We changed our supply chain significantly. And kind of the first example here is 6 years ago, we moved all our products to 100% fair trade. And I can tell you, there's not a business case. You cannot calculate a business case that is positive for a move like that. This is purely taken on our underlying values that this is the right thing, and that if we move to fair trade, this might create a bit of a systemic change. On top of that, we are campaigning for things that we as an organization think, according to our values, is the right thing to do. We campaigned for marriage equality, for against GMO labeling in the US, and most recently on the bottom right side, like 2 weeks ago, we launched a product and a campaign in the US under the name Resist. Resist, supporting grassroots organization, standing up against the divisive rhetoric of the US administration, and directly calling out Mr. Trump, or President Trump, as you should probably call him, and taking a stance there and supporting with the revenues of the product for organizations to stand up and show resistance. This is paying back because people are, and the younger generation is demanding companies to take a stance. They're not demanding companies to take CSR actions. When we come with our little ice cream truck to a city in Germany and post it on Facebook, and we say we hand out ice cream, we have between 5 and 10,000 people showing up to just get an ice cream. People are traveling hours to be part of the movement, to be part of the happening. This is because they admire the stance that we're taking. This is, from a marketeer's perspective, what you then kind of call the brand love that you want to have. And I assume not all companies and not all businesses that you represent will get people to tattoo their name on the arm. But for sure, you will have customers who value this move. This is the point of view, or this is one solution, the structural implementation of a value system through, in this case, the independent board of directors, how we can actually move within a common economic framework to the next level and actually move from CSR to a values-led business. My second life is 2 years ago we started a small granola roastery. So we're roasting oats and nuts and raisins to create granola, and we're roasting this, creating fun, colorful, and super tasty products. Oh, I'm too fast for the. Okay, sorry. And but we didn't decide to spend 7 days a week, long nights in a small roastery because we want to have colorful products. We started this company in order to give the 5% people in German society that have lost any opportunity in the job market because of their biographies a second chance, or actually a third chance. People with mental disabilities, with history, previously incarcerated people, and people who had drug addictions. we are roasting granola in order to bring people into, we're roasting people to create, we're roasting granola to create jobs. We're roasting people. Sometimes we roast people. That's a different take. We usually do this with Ben & Jerry's much more than we do this with Heyo. But here we roast granola in order to bring people into labor and not the other way around. We don't employ people in order to roast more granola. So we started with this, and whilst the products and the output look colorful, the spending days and nights putting stickers on lids, 10,000s of stickers, it's not all fun. But people are excited to be part of this because it's aiming towards a bigger goal. We have one goal for the company, which is basically written down in our constitution, and every investor that wants to be part of that has to buy into the idea that the single goal we're focusing on is bringing people into labor, and all the profit needs needed underneath are just delivering against this. So yes, it's not always fun to spend like 10 hours in the roastery, but people are enjoying the fact to be with this. And we had, in 1.5 years of running the roastery, we had not one person coming late. We had not one person not coming without calling us up front. So there's a huge kind of positivity that comes with the people that get to work again. So summing up, no matter what you do, and when you start thinking about moving beyond CSR, think about at Ben & Jerry's terms, we like to say, if it's not fun, why do it? In other terms, you could say, if I can't dance, I don't want to be part in your revolution. This is a phrase by Emma Goldman, coined like 150 years ago in the US. And yeah, in short, will ice cream and granola make the difference? I hope it will help you to go take on the challenges ahead of you with a smile, but the only one who really can make the difference is you. I wish you a fantastic conference. Enjoy and definitely take it out of this room and turn it into action, because that's the only thing that really makes a difference. Thank you very much.
I have a completely other question in mind when I saw all the nice pictures of the ice cream. We will ask you later whether we get some ice cream, but in the meantime, I want to first thank you, give you a little, it's nothing to eat, so.
Heavy, like a brickstone.
And I
think
we had such 3, but also 2 powerful presentations in the beginning. And as you always mentioned, that it's not about us. It's not the leaders, it's the followers, it's every one of you is a leader. I wanted to give it to the floor and maybe have a conversation with the 2 of you for 5-10 minutes. There we have the first question. Very good, that's the icebreaker. So if anyone disagreeing or saying something to add, it's more than welcome to do it now.
Well, I have a question about...
May you mention your name first, please?
I'm Alexei Minyailo from non-commercial organization Games of the Future. You said, Liz, that it's very important to be a courageous follower, to speak up and so on. That all sounds really awesome. But how to do this actually? Because things that you say, it's actually as easy to say as don't walk, fly, defy gravitation, because every system that is in place in education, it discourages courage. The school, the university, it discourages speaking up. The corporations, they discourage speaking up. What happened in Volkswagen, who was a CSR champion, but then was caught up doing really dirty things, and dozens of people knew, and everyone was afraid to speak up. So the advice is cool, but what would you advise to actually do it, besides just do it? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexa, for that question. And of course, you have experience in doing this. So I started off my conversation this morning by saying I don't have the answers. And I think we need to ask these questions. So how do we stand up? How do we act courageously in situations where we might lose our job? How do we blow the whistle in situations where the whistleblowers usually gets the blame? It's not easy. It's not easy to do these things. And I think we cannot stay silent anymore, because it's the scream of silence that makes things worse. If we do not speak up, if we are not courageous enough to try and find the cracks in the power structures, as Foucault say, if we do not find those cracks, it will have a much worse effect. So one way that I might offer as a way to do this is to be tempered radicals and not complete radical activists on this side, by try and change the system from within the system, one step at a time, by persisting, asking the right questions, by persisting, pointing out things that's not right, by trying and mobilize a group of people that think the same as you.
Perfect. So maybe we have some more questions, so we make it short. Did it answer
Did
your
I
question?
get carried away?
I would say yes or no. Maybe, yeah. We have two more days to discuss
More
it.
yes
Okay.
than no,
I also have my point of view, but I'm a moderator. I'm not giving the answer right now. Okay. There was another question.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe stand up and say your
yes,
name.
Of course. Sorry. My name is Teresa Lankes, and maybe my question fits perfectly with the two excellent presentations and Alexei's question. Maybe some of you saw this video on YouTube called Kodaikanal Won't. It's a rap video which went viral, 6 million views in India, and it was made by activists who happened to live in Kodaikanal, where Unilever India had this factory which poisoned basically the whole area. And since Ben & Jerry's belongs to Unilever, maybe you can share with us what the board of directors by Ben & Jerry's did to influence Unilever, and Paul Polman, who still negates any corporate responsibility and liability for the immense damage done in Kodaikanal, India. Okay. About this concrete case.
We got it. It's a question, I think, to you.
Yeah. I won't be in the position to comment on this very specific point in India. What we do at Ben & Jerry's influences Unilever. It is very much this influence from within, and we heard yesterday that people want to work at Unilever. In Unilever, people want to work at Ben & Jerry's. This is kind of the inspiring force where people want to work. And Unilever is, so Ben & Jerry's is influencing much of the agricultural agenda in Unilever. It's influencing ways we do look at things. If you look at the acquisitions, the last 6 acquisitions that Unilever did, 5 of the 6 acquisitions were B Corps, so benefit corporations. There is, so with the case of Ben & Jerry's, we're proving that the business case of doing kind of progressive business is actually more attractive than continuing to run a multinational business like Unilever the way it used to do in the past, is influencing Unilever in all forms. Will Unilever be another Ben & Jerry's in big? Hopefully at one point in time, but this is a process, and yeah, I don't know if this answers your question, but there are structural ways of like immediate contact. So
perfect.
When
okay,
Coleman
it was an
visits
answer.
the
Thank you
board,
very much. And you can already see, yeah, it's easier to ask questions than to give the answers. And I think this is a very important learning. So if I summarize a little bit, we had the learning. Hopefully we have a common understanding. We now know why we are here. Yeah? And we probably also got a little bit of an understanding what is needed to do. Yeah? And your questions lead in this direction. Where we have, and this is good, otherwise we don't need the conference, don't have an understanding yet, not a fully understanding, is how we are going to come to this change. Yeah? And this is exactly what you are supposed to do now. It's easy to ask you as a leader now, but as you heard, the leadership is within, so it's also within you personally. I think it's up to you, like a child, to think of the present from the future. That's something we haven't really learned in school, or maybe we learned the opposite. And from a business school of side, it's always also important to think about the context. Yeah, we have an economic system which is now here in place for 200 years from industrialization. And of course, you cannot change it like this. Digitalization might help. So there will become an important, powerful tool for all of us. But there again, it's also how you use it.
And my experience is that we might call different challenges different things. A society might call the challenge unemployment, and we might call it lack of skilled employees. But when we start to discuss and start to understand each other's challenges and we have a common goal, that's where we can actually create much, much more value out of what we are doing.